Hey, my beautiful mamas. Today, we're talking to a woman and my new best friend that I just met in real life. She has lived about 3 glorious lifetimes in one. She's an author. She's an artist. She's a visionary. She's a creative director. She's a RISD grad, New York fashion world powerhouse. She's a mama of 3. And she's done it all with this rare mix of fierce intuition, ambition, and a lot of unapologetic soul, which you know I love. You've seen her work everywhere, in Vogue, Bergdorf's, St. Regis, the New York Times. She has a book. She is a complete badass. But what I love most is that the Kate we're meeting today, she's not just the artist who's built a career from pure talent and pure fire, but she's a woman who's let an identity unravel when motherhood and life and COVID cracked her wide open. And instead of letting it knock her down and instead of letting it kind of prevent her from going after her dreams, she actually stepped into something deeper. And we're going to talk about that today. She actually left the noise and she left the shoulds and she left the pressure and she's refound a truth. And I think it's actually helped her come back into a vision and a version of herself that's actually going to be even more exciting. We're going to talk about that today because it's making her even more alive and more beautiful and more soul infused, which is going to help her brand and her business become even more powerful in a world that is becoming more machine and more AI and more replicated by less authenticity. She is even more authenticity. And as a mom of 3, she's doing something that I'm obsessed with. She's modeling what looks like a design. She's designing a life that you love, not a life that you just survive. No martyrdom, no shrinking, no apologizing for wanting more than one identity at a time. Kate is living proof that you don't have to choose between being an incredible mother and being an incredible human and going after your dreams. You can do it all. You can be it all. And today we're going to talk about how to do all of that. So Kate Schelter, I'm so happy you're here and welcome to Momplex. So please introduce yourself and then we're going to talk about all of it. So the mic is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Scotty, for that amazing introduction. It's so nice to hear that because wouldn't it be nice if we all had like a running broadcast in our heads of the nicest things people could possibly say about us at all times?
Yep. We deserve it.
Usually it's, just it's me in my studio having conversations with myself. So it's a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited about the mission that you're broadcasting about moms leading by example with their children and dreaming big and seeing your kid, creating an example for your kids where they see you dream big, they see you try, they see you succeed, they see you stumble, they see you fumble. We're all living in Richard Scarry's busy town where there's just like shit happening all the time. Excuse my French. And
nope, you like to curse here.
Yeah. And I think that's the reality is that I'm pretty over the polished perfection that we see so often on digital channels. And I always prefer what is under the surface and hearing what's really going on with people and what people are really excited about, what people are really terrified by, and helping them bridge that mindset so that you can enter the realm of possibility with excitement and deep heart.
I love that. It gave me goosebumps, especially because that's the core of identity, right? I think especially in your work when you're talking about helping brands, and we're going to dive into that, but that's what gets you so excited, right? When you're helping a client really understand who they are, you've got to help that person become brave, right? Like how do you separate yourself from this overpopulation, this saturation in the creative world, right? Like you've got to be able to be authentically brave and vulnerable because that's where the magic is, right? And I think that happens with our kids, right? We all know how special our kids are, right? We see them every day behind the scenes. We see the magic that they are from sunrise to sunset. And then they go out into the world, and it's easy for kids to get lost, right? We know how loud the world can be, and we want them to appreciate their voice. And we're seeing that now in the career world, right? Like the voices are getting so drowned out by how many people are out there. I mean, you open up the phone, I can't even tell anymore what's being created by a human and what's being created by AI. I'm getting joked by all the time. My kids actually say, "Mom, that's not even real. That's AI right now." So I think, to your point, more than ever, how important it is for us to really become so brave with our authenticity, and to be, like you said, it's okay to fumble. It's actually beautiful to fumble. That's where it's going to be. Like, we need to show the scars. We need to show like the laughter and the tears and the mistakes and all of it. Cause I think that's what's going to be so attractive, is that humanity. So backing up a little bit, you built this huge, creative, unbelievable career in New York, the kind of path women dream about, the kind of path that us on the West Coast, we saw on Sex and the City. And then, motherhood and COVID kind of knocked you off path. I guess it cracked everything open. What did that unraveling feel like to you?
I felt like a lot of fear. So I went from living in New York City for 20 years and basically turning a life of what I was passionate about, individual, authentic, personal style, and turning that into a career for myself. And I've worked with multiple mediums, first as a photographer, a trend reporter, creative director, fashion stylist, and then the owner of my own branding agency. And I think I spent so many years running, like just so excited and like high on the excitement of New York City and being able to work with such amazing people and meet your mentors and dreaming really big. And New Yorkers have this wonderful sense of anything is possible, especially the over the top. And that is intoxicating. And when I was pregnant with our second child, after 6 years of infertility and IVF treatments, I finally became pregnant with our second child, and we decided to leave the city so that we could have the things that people leave the city for, like green grass and peace and quiet, all that stuff. And we got here. We moved back to outside of Philadelphia, which is exactly where I was raised and born.
Okay.
And 6 months later, COVID happened. So I had a 6-month-old. I was like pushing the baby stroller outside the local grocery store. And I just like was so terrified that we were all going to die and that it was.
Sure.
And I knocked on the window of the grocery store and I burst into tears, and this woman came out and I was like, "I have a baby. I'm too scared to go to CVS to even buy like soap. And my baby's just starting to eat solid foods. I'm like," and she's like, "Don't worry." And she went in the store, like made 2 grocery bags for me of like yogurt, sweet potatoes, things like that.
Oh my gosh. What
Brought
an
them
angel.
out to me, and I'm like crying. I gave her money. There was just like that. And that's legitimate fear. I mean, that's the fear of survival that really helps keep us alive. That's the helpful fear. Then we had a third child, which was a surprise. When I became pregnant when I was 44. And this is after my second child, 6 years of infertility. So for whatever reason, it was the biggest blessing. And we welcomed it, but it was just, it just burst open my entire soul to have 2 children in 2 years during COVID and suffer what felt like a loss of professional identity, which was a huge part of my personal identity.
Yeah.
And that was the just try to survive, do not try to thrive moment for me. I was like, basically, if you can just get through every day, that's all you need to do. But when that cycle repeats itself day after day after day for several years, it became a large, like, personal challenge for me, something which I had not experienced before. And so suddenly I was no longer in the environment surrounded around the people and the mentality of New York City. My social network, my professional network, the sense of community where everybody kind of knows everybody else and they know you. And of course, I was with my family and I was in my own house, but I didn't recognize myself. And I was upset and I knew something needed to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I can relate to this a little bit. So, it's such a big deal because of course, you had worked so hard for your career and then you had worked so hard to build your family, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're taught. I mean,
I was sitting in the abundant nest of everything that I had ever dreamed of in my entire life. And I was afraid. I was waking up in the middle of the night sweating. I was scared to have conversations with people that I shouldn't have I was just not myself. I lost my mojo.
Yeah.
And on the surface, I probably seemed the same. I was still doing my best. I was still able to be, function. I don't think it was so much depression as it was anxiety and just like the shock of, taking me out of a place, I think, and feeling like my professional identity had been stripped, or not so much as that. I wasn't feeling like I was being seen. I felt like I was like living. It's like, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, you're like, if a mom of 3 is living outside of New York City and she never sees her friends, then what?
That's such a great analogy, right? Because absolutely, here you had worked your entire life building that identity in New York. You had blood, sweat, and tears. That's who you were. You had, creative director. You had a whole history of work. And then what?
And it was very kind of like, I don't want to say effortless, but it was sort of just like, there was a carefreeness to it. Like, it was just like, it was never like, oh, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. It was like, oh, this leads to this. And then this person leads to this job. And this person recommend. It was like very much, a carefree attitude. And then when I left and then I had my family expanded, everything felt like it had to be way more intentional. And also, I just didn't feel like I had an audience. And that's something that's very satisfying when you're a creative person. Like, you want an audience, emotionally. Yeah. And also you want people who appreciate the same things. And I don't think that like our children are meant to be our audience. That's not the relationship.
No, that's not their job.
The kids are not supposed to be there to be like, I hear you, mom. I see you, mom. Like, I validate you.
I validate you. I love that analogy, though.
We're supposed to be doing that for them.
Yeah. But I think that goes back to we're allowed. I think it's you have this incredible identity, and then we become moms, and we're allowed to pivot. We're allowed to put that on the shelf while we pour our heart into building the family. And then when we get our feet underneath us, right? Because it does feel like you're drowning for a second. And right in the middle of COVID, you said it so well. There's a real fear. There's a real fear when you become a mom. Let's just say under normal circumstances.
Yeah, like you have to keep someone else alive. That's it.
Yeah.
But then
in the middle of COVID,
thought, like, what if I die? What if my husband dies? What if what if we all die? And what I started to realize is that, like, basically we could all die at any moment, at any time, not just during COVID. It was heightened. but it just made me that much more hungry for like, going for it and doing the things and dreaming
Mm-hmm.
big.
Mm-hmm.
However, I feel this, so I was experiencing this distance and this disconnection from things that were
Mm.
really important to me.
Okay.
And one of the things I do now is I go into New York City once or twice a week. No questions asked, non-negotiable. It's essential for me to feel connected to the people that I love and to a place that I love, and just have space for myself. And that came
Wonderful.
from a therapist who was like, she said, this has to be unconditional. Like you don't need to wait for the once or twice a month when somebody invites you to do something or there's an event, or she's like, you have the ability to go into the city whenever you want, pretty
I love
much.
that. I love
And
that.
even if you go, you don't have a plan, you just walk around, do that. Because otherwise you're going to resent. If we give up too much of our identity that is like deeply ingrained, and we do it for someone else or something else, then we're going to end up resenting that person. It's like we've given up too much. And so this is my way of filling myself up so that when I come back, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm so happy here. And also it creates this seamless connection where I feel like I'm still the person that I am and was, but I'm living in a different place. For some reason, it was a big thing for me to leave the city. And I know a lot of people leave the city and then they move back because of that same reason. So, yeah.
I mean, you and I talk a lot about the connection to our soul. I think that's really important. And I do think there's a soul match. I do think that people have a real connection to a city. I think there is a chemistry, right? I think cities can make us feel alive, and I think we talk so much about, the simplicity of really listening to our bodies. You obviously feel an electricity in New York City that makes you feel connected to yourself, connected to your creativity, connected to a part of you, and not to mention an identity. There's a history, right? There's a history of you growing up there. There's a history of you becoming who you are that led you to become the person that chose to become a mom, right? Like you might not have made the choices that you did, right?
We had our first child in New York and we lived there for 6 years with her.
Yeah.
And it was seamless. It was perfect. I mean,
Amazing.
Nothing's perfect, but it worked really well. So that happened. And I feel like, New York I've lived in a lot of cities all over the world actually. But New York was the city that I lived the longest other than where I grew up. So there was a really captured my heart.
I love that. So that's the one thing you do now, this kind of, you're going into the city a couple times a week. You do that unapologetically and it's unconditional. I love that the therapist told you this because it's empowering, right? It's giving you agency.
Empowering. It's very empowering. Like, don't wait, just do it. And there's no judgment, you don't have to have a reason. And sometimes the hardest part of that day is just walking out the door and getting in the car to go to the train. And sometimes I'm just like, just get in the car, go, 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 go. And then
it's like that initial step, right?
Into New York, I'm like, oh, there's like a million things I want to go do. And my friends are used to me texting, being like, I'm going to be there tomorrow. Like, who am I going to meet? Who wants to have lunch, or what gallery openings are there? Or, what's going on? And now people know that I come in so that they think of me to do things. Whereas before they might have thought like, Kate's on here. So it's my way of showing up for myself.
I love that. I love that. And again, like, you're not waiting. I think a lot of moms listening, I think a lot of moms listening can relate. A a lot of moms do feel this guilt that they want more, right? Because gosh, how many times have we been told, oh, you're so lucky. There's so many women that can't have kids. You should, this kind of weird message that we get from maybe our elders or society that, gosh, this is your job. You should feel there should be nothing else that you should want than to be a mom. And so then I had to go over this grief of like, gosh, I must be a bitch because I love my kids, but I cannot be at home with them all day long. It's making me angry. It's making me not enjoy being with them. And, I had to go through a lot.
Yeah, that feeling comes from not doing enough of what you love. It's not, it can be that you're overwhelmed for what's going on, but often it comes from you're not doing enough to fill yourself up or doing enough of what you really love or what you're really good at or what you really want to be doing. And that comes out in anger, rage, blah,
Yeah. And the kid's not their fault.
I've been all of those places.
And I love it. I think we should be talking about this versus hiding it. I think there's so many other moms. Hide it.
I mean, my close friends and family are used to me calling them in tears. And they just have to, they're like, Kate, we're just going to remind you of the same thing I told you last time.
But that's good. That's what you want your kids to see. The becoming, the unraveling, the rebuilding, right? I think
I had a coach that I worked with, named Sasha Hines, and she had the best advice. She said, when you're thinking about yourself, think about yourself as if you were a character in a movie. What would you be rooting for that character? How would you want her story to turn out? And you can flip that even further and think, if you have a child, how would you want their story to unfold? What would you be rooting for? Would you want them to sit at home crying for somebody else no, you would want to let them have the wings to fly high, you would want to set them up for an extraordinary life. That doesn't mean doing everything for them, but it certainly means, opening up the door and saying, I'm here for you when you come home.
I love that. I love that. If you were watching yourself in a movie, you'd be rooting for him, right? The whole time. You'd be rooting for him the whole time.
When you start to feel that mom guilt come over, think, so I have a 12-year-old daughter and I'm thinking what would I want for her? I want her to have the best fucking life she could possibly have.
100%. 100%. I think about this all the time. I tell my kids, you can do anything. You can be anything. You can have anything. I have to go first. I have to walk that walk, right? Because if I'm sitting on my butt feeling sorry for myself, they're going to, in their head, say, I'm really confused.
Yeah.
I am so confused. My mom is sitting here telling me I can swim, I can bike, I can love, I can dream, I can go after everything. And my mom's sitting over here sad and unhappy and angry all the time.
Yeah, that's
these puzzle pieces are not fitting.
Yeah.
And it's like we want them to swim. We have to learn how to swim. And so I love that, just that it's a good analogy. It's like if you're rooting for yourself in that movie, of course, I'm rooting for myself to go get with Ryan Gosling in The Notebook. Let's go for this thing. Come on. I want that. They're going for it. And so we have to talk about your creativity. We've got to talk about this because this is bursting out of your heart. And this is really, I'm assuming you were born with this, but you've written a book, you went to RISD. I mean, this is who you are. But let's talk about your art. Let's talk about your creativity. Let's talk about your dream and what you're doing. Because this is probably involved in how you're raising your kids. This is involved in how you're walking the streets of New York. And this is involved in how you're working with your clients. I mean, tell me about it. Tell me about everything.
So, in my book, Classic Style.
Yes, I'm going to buy it right now. I'm obsessed.
Yeah, you can buy it wherever books are sold or most easily on Amazon. It's classic style, hand it down, dress it up, wear it out. And indeed, the thread of my whole career and my own philosophy is personal, authentic style.
Love it.
gets into everything that I do. And the book literally talks and is illustrating my upbringing and the influences that my parents had, my family had, my education, and then starting my career and how that happened. So that I always like to share that with people. But then it also helps readers define their own personal style, to forget what's cool and go with your gut instinct.
I love that.
And as well as I've illustrated over like 150 items
I
that
love
I
that.
consider to be sort of fail-safe, classic icons that
Okay.
kind of work for everyone.
So she can actually access this, learn about you, see your talent, but also use it almost as a manual to kind of help her kick off her own, and then like a get started here with your best picks. And then she's kind of building her own personal, authentic style from this. Is that?
Yeah, it says,
I love that.
The intro says, the key to personal style is simple. Forget what's cool and trust your gut.
Love
the
it.
magic is in your mix. When you draw confidence from your classics, the pieces that you come back to again and again, your style is your own. Classics let you do more and be more with less.
I love it.
This is very much like the essence of my design philosophy. And a lot of it is things that I learned along the way. But yeah, the thread is like helping people remove everything and then slowly build or rebuild with just the simple essence of what makes them sincere, unique, and different.
Yeah.
Often based on your story or your history. And so I work a lot with brands who are very well established, but they need a rebirth. They need a revitalization. They need a refresh for a new market or a new customer. And I also help new brands when they're sort of have a direction that they're going in, but like they haven't quite figured out their color palette or their typography yet for their logo. But it's more than just visual identity design, which I do. It's also like I ask questions like, okay, let's say I'm working with a skincare brand. I would say, if you were a restaurant, which restaurant would you be? If you were a travel destination, what travel destination would you be? If you were a pair of shoes, what pair of shoes would you be?
Ooh.
And I really believe that like all of these visual indicators signal to the rest of the world based on their iconography, who you are, what you stand for. And I also believe that we can identify false identities immediately. So if somebody's doing something or wearing something or looks like something that looks good, but not quite right, we can tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like the idea is to be who you really are. It's like wearing your heart on your sleeve. How do you coax the heart and the soul out of a brand or a person and then broadcast that to the world with, beauty and joy and a sense of playfulness or a sense of naughtiness or, whatever your brand is. It doesn't have to be what I'm telling you to be. My goal is to make it more authentically you.
Yeah. I want to do this for a retreat for just people.
Yeah.
Right? I just want to do this as a retreat for people because you see this all the time. And I love social media. I hate social media. I really do, because I think it fucks with our brains all the time. You especially because I'm a content creator, which I flipping hate. But you have to do it for your business. And I try to put stuff out and my head I'm like, oh gosh, is this hook okay? Is this filter okay? Ugh. and it changes you. It changes how you talk. It
I
changes
know.
how you show up. And you see it all the time. And it just shifts how I think people would actually have a conversation with another person. And it's, as you're saying these things, I'm thinking, gosh, what shoe am I? I'm a flip-flop. It's like, it's like, are we actually wearing our heart on our sleeves when we're really showing up in our day? Are we really showing up as our true selves? Because that's really what we deserve, what our kids deserve, what our work deserves, what our dreams deserve. And I love it. And it's so exciting that you're doing this work with these big companies, because these big companies can give us that, can show up on a billboard like that. Please, 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 please. That's what we want. That's what we need. You owe it to us, because that's what these kids are witnessing all the time. We need somebody to be brave as shit and go first.
Yeah.
And because that's what's dripping down and having such an impact. Like, please break the rules, somebody. Please go and be the salmon. Someone be the salmon,
salmon. I feel like, it's funny. When I remember when my book came out, I was like thinking in terms of Instagram captions, and I was like, oh, start to feel like you film yourself doing everything and saying everything. And you're like, And what it came down to was, I tend to post more of just like my finished artwork. And a lot of people were saying, can you please post more of the process? And I was like, well, I can, except for then I have to like set up a camera. And when I really just want to be painting. Anyway, the bottom line is what I told myself is only try to post things that you will inspire other people. Don't try to post like your fancy friend or your fancy restaurant or your whatever. Because again, false identity. Post what inspires other people.
Okay.
And it might be that you're in a fancy place and that's inspiring to somebody, but that should be sort of default. So I post things that I'm excited about.
Love that.
And inspired about, in hoping that will translate with other people. That will resonate.
But at least you're following your heart. I think that's the point.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're going with what at least you're saying is you. And I know you've worked on your mission. I know you've worked so hard. You're creative, so you can't help yourself. It's important for you that it's aesthetically pleasing. That's your eye. You see things through that vision. Kaleidoscope. Yeah. That's your vision.
It's like voice and vision.
You can't help yourself.
That's unique.
Yeah. But at least you're doing it through your authentic lens and not somebody else's rules. I think that's the point of it, right? What you just said. Forget what's cool. Go with your gut, right?
Do it with someone else's rules, because I see creativity as basic as someone's handwriting. Like it's impossible. I mean, and I'm a good drawer. I could copy someone's handwriting, maybe a sentence, but could I write 6 pages of notes in someone else's handwriting? No. It would have to be in my handwriting. So, and I feel like, yes, it's like a default. That's what I'm trying to say is like, style is your default. And I believe there's even I haven't read my book in a while, but there's a chapter called Your Style is Your Pajamas. It's like what you're doing when you're not trying to be doing the thing that you think you should be doing.
I love it too. Yeah, totally. I don't think I could post anything on Instagram.
Then. I'm like, you're like, what, this old thing? And then they're like, yeah, that's amazing. It's like, so that's a metaphor, because obviously we're not always in our pajamas, but yeah, like your style is what you are when no one else sees you. It's also when you're at the height of yourself and you want to broadcast something and, dress up. I'm a huge believer in the power of dressing up and the power of dressing up for nightlife, which was a huge part of my life for about 20 years.
Yeah.
Going out dancing at night was more than just about that. It was about putting, trying on parts of ourselves, experimenting with outfits, which is, self-expression. And that was very... Again, it's easier to analyze in hindsight, because probably at the time I was like, yeah, I just want to be out with my friends and dancing. It's fun. but all those outfits I put together, all of, the thrift stores and vintage pieces that I found, especially when I was younger and on a, tighter budget, all of that was like honing your vision, honing your identity,
Yeah.
honing what you love, getting rid of what you don't love, bringing more of what you do like closer to your heart so that it just becomes like a part of you.
Yeah. Which makes sense if you had done all that work and then you had kids and you left the city, she couldn't help but burst out again. Right? Like
I love that.
it's like she couldn't help it. Even if she lived in a different zip code. And I think we owe it to our kids to let her come back out. Right? Like I believe that we're soulmates for our kids. I don't believe that we are our kids' moms by accident. I think our kids are meant to learn how to do life from us specifically. And to this point of this whole authentic conversation, the way that you dress up, the way that you find your style, the way that you walk down the sidewalk, the way that you see the world, you are meant to show your kids that.
Exactly. And even,
right.
Even just to like, obviously, like, I think parents are children's first introduction to like what's possible or what else is out there. And luckily we can get that from so many more people as we get older.
Yeah.
We leave the house. But even just like my son, I came down the other day and I'm wearing stockings and boots or high heels or something. And he's like, Mama, what are those? Why are your legs black? And I'm like, this is what I wear when I get dressed up to go to the city. And he's like, oh, you get dressed up to go to the city? Should I get dressed up?
I love it. I love it. It's just, and I love it. It's that unapologetic. This is me.
Yeah.
This is me, and I think that love of this is me right now, this is me right now and embracing it. And I think it's so powerful. And this whole idea of like the ending mommy martyrdom, the shoulds, and you did that, you stepped away from, you had to in so many different ways, but you found the courage to make these choices that didn't necessarily make sense to other people and maybe didn't make sense to you at that time either. But I think a lot of self-trust came from that, right? And I think you continue to build that self-trust, right? Where you're getting in the car, you're leaving your kids.
Self-advocacy. Yeah.
That self-advocacy.
I think we need that more. In my opinion, my experience has been that the more responsible I am for others, the more nerve-wracking life can feel. And the more I need to do things for myself, and I need to like be very diligent about advocating for myself and not doing everything for other people.
Interesting.
So that you maintain that, like, you maintain your sense of self, to be honest.
You're saying like, so the more pressure you feel, the more necessary your antidote is, the more you need to take
care. I have to do things where I feel free.
Mm-hmm.
And that can come in a lot of different formats. I have to do things where I feel connected to other people. I have to feed that side of myself because it doesn't come as easily because I'm not just myself anymore. Yeah. And I'm not raising kids who just want to like stay at home all the time. I want to go out into the world and interact with the world and work with the world, travel, all those things. And so while everything starts at home as a mother, like, some of my most fun times with my children have been where we go out and do things. Mm-hmm. And, also it's nice to be at home too. But yeah, I sort of like, for me personally, I had to advocate for myself and become very clear on what I needed to do and why I felt I needed to do it. Because otherwise I would feel I lacked the confidence to go forward or go through with the things that I wanted to do. I would just be like, okay, no, I'll cancel what I need to do and take care of this or whatever. Stay home because whatever. And then that would build inside of me as resentment. You can't
Mm-hmm.
really, and to be totally honest, you can't really resent your children, but you can resent other caretakers of the children, like
Mm.
your spouse, and it's not their fault.
No, no.
And so
It's not
I
your
do
fault
it for
either. It's
all
just
of us.
awareness.
That's what I tell myself. I'm doing
Yeah.
it for me, but I'm really doing it for all of us.
You are. And one thing that's really helped me so much, because these are normal thoughts. These are normal conversations for us to have. And I always think my kids are counting on me. They do not care what I'm doing when they're not around me. They do not care. They don't even ask, but they really care who I am when they show up.
Yes.
Right.
Totally.
So they're really looking for me. Like, I do not care how you're spending your time when you're away from me, but I
don't think they know that we exist when they're like, they have no concept that we're doing. Yeah.
But they need me. They expect me to be happy when they walk in the door, to have the patience, to have the mood and the time and the energy and the presence. So it's my job to do whatever I need to do, figure out whatever it is I need so that I become the person that they're counting on. So what it's like figuring out, what do I need?
Yeah.
What do I need?
Take that one step further. Also, something I've learned from my therapist, is not to be figuring out what they need all the time and fixing everything.
Ooh, I love that.
I think I was talking to like a counselor at one of my kids' schools about something else, and she used the term snowplow parent. And that is a parent who clears the way.
So we're past helicopter parent. We're now.
Yeah, this is another mode of transportation. And I was like, ooh, I feel like I'm guilty of starting to go down that path a little bit, where like, when you're, again, if something's like life or death, of course you're going to help your child. But I was starting to be the parent where, a child would come to me. And like I said, I have a middle schooler, and, if there would be an issue or whatever, and I'd be like, oh, well, let me, basically, let me fix it for you. And what does that say to my child? It says that I don't think she can trust herself. I don't think she can fix it herself. She thinks that I don't think she can fix it herself.
Huge.
So the best thing to do is just sit there and shut the fuck up.
Yep.
And listen. And listening means not talking, which is something I had to learn later in life. Listening also means like nodding my head and saying, I hear you.
Yep.
Listening means sitting on her bed for 10 minutes while the light's out and she's gone to sleep, just so she knows that I'm there. It's just that feeling that you're not alone, but it doesn't mean doing the homework for them, doing the whatever for them.
Yeah. I love everything you said, especially that subconscious belief that they believe that you believe they can. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, think about like, I was always very resourceful from a young age, and always had this like dreams, and also like, I'm going to make this happen. And that's
look at you now.
My parents didn't do everything for me. In fact,
and you're still doing it.
They did certain things really well, but there was other things where I wish at the time they had done more of, but it made me super resourceful and resilient and ambitious. And
you're living proof of that right now.
Yeah. So it's like, I think you, as a parent, you don't want to over coddle. Yeah. And that sounds obvious, but it comes out in a lot of other manifestations that are just not helping our children. Like, for example, I love this book, The Anxious Generation.
Yep.
And the author's main tenets is we're underprotecting our children in the digital world, and we're overprotecting them in the physical world. Like, kids aren't even allowed to walk to the candy store anymore. And I thought about this weekend, we went for a hike as a family, and my two youngest kids, who are 4 and 6, and my 12-year-old, all went off trail. And it's like this huge woods area, hiking trails, and they're climbing up like the steepest cliffs, and they are just obsessed. They are just like going up the mountain. And my husband and I are like, watch out for the edge. Please come back to. And I had to say to myself, like cover it, like let them. Obviously, we don't want them to fall off a cliff, but
Sure.
like this is much healthier than letting them like watch YouTube kids going down some whatever digital spiral that, you know.
Yeah.
So again, I don't exactly remember what my point is.
But we talked about, I love it. It's just allowing this awareness of how we are modeling this stuff for the kids. I think, it's like you are showing your kid just what it looks like to be brave. You're also showing your kid what it looks like to stumble and fall and pick yourself back up. Right. And, I think my kids learn so much more from what I do than what I say.
Exactly. That's what you do. And like, that's such a key point. So it's like, I'm trying to do as much physical things, like analog with your hands kind of things that you can do.
Yeah.
Because also that's where such a feeling of capability comes. Like I remember when I was little, I could make things with my hands. My mom let me use her sewing machine. I had glue, scissors, tape, magazines, markers, paint. I would just make these crazy collages. My mom let me paint the inside of my closet. And
so cool.
Like, I remember I had to, when I wanted my room repainted, my mom and I went to the hardware store together, picked out the paint color, and then we painted it together. And it's so
cool.
You can do that. I mean, that's the empowerment, is like showing them how, like just showing rather than telling and describing.
I love it. And you're doing that. I think I talk about this a lot. It's just like, we have to be able to go first. And I think a lot of that is how we're going to end this whole mommy martyrdom, and like that we have to be the living proof, right? That
you mean, I love that. You have to be the one who goes first, meaning like the oxygen mask on the airplane.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like and you wrote in your book, you got to forget what's cool. Like, I don't know who's writing all these rules. Who's writing all these rules that says we can or we can't, it's
we've got to do what over influenced. I saw that horrible post that said like the generation who is a teenager now,
oh gosh,
is going to have more memories of other people's experiences than their own personal experiences in their life.
I can't.
If that's not enough reason to blow up all the social media, then I don't know what is. It's like we have constant influence, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not. And it's like a polluted pool, because as a creator, it's all about putting out, right? You're an outward arrow. The channel is going outward. When you're a consumer, everything's coming in. Everything's coming in.
Yeah.
And not one is not good, not bad, but when it's really upside down and really not balanced, or not even close to being balanced, it's like that's where all the anxiety comes from.
Yes. Yes. And so actually, perfect segue as we're going to wrap this up, because your work is so human. It's so alive. It's so soulful. It's the opposite of what we're talking. It's the opposite of this mass production, machine made. It's this saturated IA world. So a couple of things. If there's a mom listening who is super creative, maybe she hasn't picked up a paintbrush or art, and, she's kind of just feeling a little overwhelmed by mom life. Where does she start? How does she reconnect to her creative self right now?
With the little tiniest things possible.
Yeah. Or maybe she's got teenagers and she's just out of habit, and that voice inside her head is,
the restart always comes from connecting to other people. It's always like an emotional thing first.
Okay.
Either if I can't connect to myself, or if I'm feeling like there's a block, like I will always try to connect with a friend.
Okay.
Or a mentor. And if I feel blocked in social relationships, I will connect with myself. And it could be the tiniest thing. And it's just all about just like starting. So it could be saying, I'm going to get dressed in the morning before I dress my children.
Mm.
Or
Okay.
I'm going to do something for myself first.
Yep. So
And
important.
and if you're talking more about specifically about art, when I teach master classes, I always advise people to keep, like, for example, if somebody wants to learn how to watercolor paint, I always say keep something up at all times. Like, you know, the way people do puzzles, they leave them on a table and like people can walk by the puzzle and sit down and put a few pieces in and then walk.
Yeah.
So with watercolors, I'm like, just buy watercolors. Doesn't even matter what brand. Just start, have a couple brushes, a piece of paper, and a palette. At an area, you could be one half of your kitchen table, and the other half is, you know, where you eat, or it could be one part of your desk, or it could be on your part of wherever.
Just
Doesn't
keep
need
it
to
up.
be big. And then keep it set up so that you can go and you can set a timer. I'm a big person who I love to set timers to inspire you. Set a timer for 10 minutes and you probably won't be able to stop for 2 hours.
Oh, I
Because
love that.
the starting is sometimes the hardest part.
And like the setting it up would be the biggest
That would be
time
sort of a big hurdle. People are like, I want to get this out. It's like, have it already set up and then set a timer for 10 minutes. Sit down. Once you start, you will not be able to stop unless you're being interrupted by somebody else. So again,
but even if you are, it's still set up,
it's
right?
still
You can come back to it.
it.
You can come back to it.
There's no perfect painting to do. It's like you just start. I also tell people just paint every color in your palette. If there's 10 colors in your watercolor palette, put water in each one and then put it on the paper. Then write your name in every different color. Then paint with different brushes. You're not painting a painting. You're just the action of painting.
Just the action of painting. I love that. That's great advice. Just set it up. I'm going to go buy a puzzle right now. I'm going to link your book in the show notes. I'm going to put your website, everything, but how can everybody find you and reach out to you? And if they want to just get in your world, what's the best way to do that?
Please follow me on Instagram, which is at Kate Schelter at Kate Schelter, KateSchelter. And my website is kateschelter.com.
Perfect.
And I always love when people reach out on DM or email for commissions or ideas or just with a comment. I welcome it all. And you can read my book, Classic Style.
I'm going to put that in the show notes. And actually, I did want to ask, what is going on for you in 2026? What is on the horizon?
I am working on a very exciting licensing deal for product design with my artwork that I cannot announce yet.
Okay. All right. Well, then stay tuned. Follow Kate on Instagram, and then it'll be released on there. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm like, one thing I can do is I'm always painting in my studio and I'm always going to New York City. And I hope to be traveling to at least one new location with my family this year. That's
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, it's been amazing. I think you are living proof that we don't have to choose between motherhood and our ambition and our creativity. And I could hear your kids in the background and they sounded alive and happy and gleeful and healthy. And I think that's what we need to remember. And I think what we need more and more are these stories that it's meant to be alive and real and artistic and true. And it's not a highlight reel on Instagram.
No.
Right?
And I think, I'm even almost guilty of that too, because, our impression is of what we see. Like I'm a 100% visual person. So I remember almost everything I see. And the truth is that like we made that all up, and just think of all the millions and billions of people who have been born before us, who are mothers in different countries and different ages and how everybody has their own way of doing it. And so just like give yourself a fucking break.
The end. Yes.
Yeah.
You're amazing. You're awesome. I got to meet Kate in real life last week in New York. You can't see her full, but she is this like gorgeous, tall, beautiful blonde, and her style is incredible. And it's her own. And I love that. You embody what you're talking about, and it's incredible. And you're awesome.
Thank you. And we were drawn to each other because we both, let's give Lydia a plug. We were at our friend Lydia Finette's The Most Powerful Woman in the Room Is You Summit at Rockefeller Center. And we were in a breakout group, and we each had to go around the circle and share 3 things about ourselves that people might not know.
Yeah.
And we aligned on that we both love intuition. And I was like, I want to be with her. And it's like opened up this whole new world for us. So it's,
I know. I love it.
Again, I could have stayed home. I could have not gone to that, but
same.
What
I flew from San Francisco just for that event.
Yeah.
I had 1,000 reasons. I told Lydia I had 1,000 reasons not to go, but I had one to go. And I'm so glad I went.
No one else is going to show up for yourself.
No one else is going to show up for you. But thank you for coming on today. I love this conversation. You're amazing. And thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you so much, Scotty.
You're great.